I think we're going live, but the problem is you're going to. I think we're live now, but I've got to pull you back up.
I think people popping in here think it's gonna go live in 18 hours. They're like, why the
Okay.
heck did Brian put this up there so we can get notified 18 hours ahead?
Yep. So just tell me if we're live, because I'm a live
Not
streaming
yet.
newbie. Okay. Well,
I'm sure there's
it
some
says I'm
lag.
live. It says I'm live.
Yep, there you go.
Okay. Cool. Pop out chat. I'll just grab that, and we should be good. Like, what is good, everybody out there? What is going on? We are now officially live, and I gotta close my email down. Okay, we have a live stream now. I am joined by Mr. Salazar. How are you doing, Mr. Greg
Yo,
Salazar?
I am doing mighty fine this Saturday night slash Sunday morning for those of you on the Aussie side of the world.
Yeah, I kept him up. I was pretty rude. I was like, Greg, we're gonna start streaming in half an hour, and then my program took another proverbial dump, and I was like,
Mm,
yeah, this is
It
awesome.
tends to do that a lot for Brian.
Yeah. So, what is good, everyone? I. It's just been a crazy month here. Before we even get into it, right? It's been a crazy month where last month was so like nothing was going on really, and so I'm out there getting potatoes. You know what I mean? I'm left, right, and center. Potato here, potato there, potato everywhere. Now this month is just like everything's coming out. Like there's these SSDs I got to check out. There's AMD stuff. There's Intel stuff coming up later. And you know how many Z490 boards I've got already?
I have three.
I
You're
got
probably gonna.
I got seven, dude. Seven. Like, and
What
apparently
are you
I'm
gonna
getting.
do with that many boards?
Well, I don't know. That's what I'm trying to think because they wanted overviews. I said I don't do overviews and unboxings. I don't believe in that. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't,
just play. Yeah,
I.
anybody can make unboxing videos.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Why would I make something that I don't watch myself, right? So that's the thing. It's all about treating your viewers how you treat yourself. That's so I'm like, no,
yep.
man, I'm not doing any overviews or unboxings. So like some of the guys are like, oh man, and it's like, well,
Just read the spec sheet. It has this and like you know, they can do that themselves. Like,
yeah, like
how are you
guys,
bringing anything new to the table?
guys, it's got a
Uh,
heat sink on it. Oh yeah, man. Like that's
yeah.
it's got audio. It's got onboard audio. Like yeah, how does the
Oh,
onboard audio sound? How does the cooling perform? We can't do that until. And this is the thing. This is the first time in history I've got seven motherboards and not one CPU to test with. Anyway,
oh my God.
so
Intel leaving you hanging out to dry.
they 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 kind of have a. It's like, what's up,
Uh,
guys? Here's your motherboard. So here's the review, guys. Just put in a Core 2 Duo into this thing, and we can get it running. So
You
that's
know, the motherboard vendors actually, I didn't used to have to rely on AMD or Intel to source CPUs back a few years ago. It used to be the motherboard vendors would send you at least engineering samples so you could, get your initial testing going. But they
yeah.
don't send those anymore. They only send they'll wait to send the media samples if they have any.
There's a reason behind that. Like they do it still low key, but they don't like doing it because if they get caught, Intel and AMD get
Yep.
like angry as at them for
Yep.
doing it. Because there is a few channels in the past that have just been like, hey, day one reviews, and then they've not been on the seeding list, and the company, like AMD and Intel, be like, what's going on? How did they get there?
And two, engineering samples aren't admittedly the best CPUs to have represent that product line. So it's going to make the company or that particular SKU look worse if you're saying, well, I could only get 4.2. This is a really voltage stubborn chip. I don't recommend you buy it. When in reality, the media samples or the consumer samples are actually fine. The engineering samples are just there so that the motherboard vendors can get their BIOSes sorted out and all that good stuff. They're not doing hardcore overclocking with any of those.
Yeah, exactly right. So I'm just yeah, I mean that's sort of what's been going on now, and yeah, so I'm not looking forward to that actually. So I was thinking I'll just when it releases, I'll do the Intel like review, and then I'll do probably just like a motherboard round robin where we just go crazy on these motherboard reviews. Like every 3 hours, we're dropping a Z490 motherboard review, and
Yep.
I'll try and bring the humor. I'll try and bring just some I'll just mix it all up. I'll figure I'll just do something with it. Just something really weird. But other than that, it's been the used market is still nuts. It's absolutely
Hmm.
nuts. And I think the one thing that I'm going to talk about in a video, upcoming video as well, there is one thing that used has going for it right now over any retailer, and that's what I've noticed. It's just people would just want to go pick up a PC then and now. They just want to go out,
Yep.
bang, get the PC,
Yep.
hook it up, start playing games, and that's what the market offers with used these PCs are ready to go, and so people are
Yep.
just like, oh my god, I gotta go get it, and that's something that's crazy right now in the used market. It really is popping off, and that
And
is just
that's one of the reasons why it could be more expensive too.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
you know.
it's just the instantaneous factor of what's going on, right? It's just people want it then and there, an instant. So,
Yeah.
yeah, what's good? Is chat going good? Chat's all good.
Yeah, chat soon. I was
Okay.
gonna say, man, I remember when I was in college 4 or 5 years ago, I had a client wanted a PC built, and I was like, don't worry, I have something for you this weekend. Well, my
Mm.
case that I ordered ended up getting delayed by a few days,
Yep.
and I ended up scouring Craigslist trying to find any case I could,
Yeah.
and I ended up paying 50, $60 over MSRP for a used case
Oh,
because it
really?
was one of the only ones listed. And looking back on it, I was kind of pissed at the time. I was like, this is the only thing I can buy. But
Yeah.
the seller was kind of smart because he knew he was the only one in the area selling a case, and anyone looking for a used case is probably going to need one, ASAP. It's the only reason why they're considering the used market. So yeah, there's that instant demand, that instant,
Yeah.
satisfaction with buying used because it's
So
right there in front of you.
let's be honest, you were angry then because this seller got inside your head and he
Oh, I was
checkmated you. He
pissed.
checkmated you,
Well,
right?
he didn't get
Yeah.
inside my head. I mean, he
He
just he
did. He
just
did.
he took advantage of the
Yeah.
situation, and that's the power that you have in a market that has no competition.
Yeah.
It's not like it's always that way. At some points there could be 10 cases for sale, and then that's a good time to buy. But that's the whole thing, is like timing the market. And my mistake was relying on a shipping company that I shouldn't have relied on to get a product in, that ultimately ended up just sitting in my,
I
you
mean,
know.
the weird thing is too, right? I've had there was this one guy on Marketplace that got so salty at me. Hey, for selling my PCs. I think he was just mad in general. Like you get the nice shot, you do the nice description, it all checks out, and he's like this and that and this and that, and he's saying my PC was a ripoff, and I'm like, I said to him straight away. My reply was, prove it. Show me in this time where you can get a better PC build. So he just kept deflecting. I'm like, well, prove it.
Yeah.
Show me a build list that your price performance is beating mine. Then show me that list, and then we can come back and talk again. And so he just kept going on and on. I was just like, dude, just block. like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's just,
yeah,
like I
just
don't
don't
mind.
bother.
I don't mind talking with people if they've got legit points. But I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. If they got if they want to challenge me on,
yeah.
on a certain point or an idea or something, that's fine. I'm open to it. I could learn something. You could learn something.
Well,
Quid
the
pro
thing,
quo. But
Well, this is
yeah,
this is the thing, right? This is the thing. A GTX 1066 gigabyte, it was around 200 Aussie dollars before. Now they're going for 300 Aussie dollars. Bang! Like you
yep,
put a
yep.
GTX 1066 gigabyte up for 300 bucks, someone's going to just simply swoop on in and take it. And yeah, that's that.
Yeah.
So
That's the same. I mean, that's why I made that video about the GTX 1070s here, about how they used to be
yeah,
$200, under $200. Now they're 250,
mm,
260. That's for a lower end model. You want a Strix card, you're paying 300. That's US,
yeah.
400, 450 Aussie. That's insane. You could get a new card that performs as good and that's more efficient for less than that. It's like,
So
what's going on?
yeah, so the thing was with that was that that's going to flow through then to the resale prices. So that
Yeah.
is the biggest thing, right? And so yeah, like my PCs, everyone's PCs, everyone's selling a gaming PC right now. At least where I live, they're overpriced if you were to compare them 6 months ago or 3 months ago to prices. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
I had to explain that to the dude, and he was just like, oh, okay. But then he just kept getting angry. Some people just don't like to listen. When you try and have a civil like conversation, they're just like, no, 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 I'm the best. I'm the best. You're the worst. And it's like, man, come on.
Yeah.
No one's better
Yeah.
than no one, really, when it all comes down to it. But let's get on to this topic. B550 AMD. They went, hey, guys, this is what's up. This is what is up. B550. And then they said they're not going to support like the B450, X470, and all the other chips, A320, B350, X370. They're not going to support the new Zen CPUs. Like they're not. There's upcoming Zen processors. They're not supporting them.
Isn't
And
that what they said though about Zen 2 as well?
I mean,
I mean,
I don't like. That's what A320, right? A320 was officially not meant to work with the Ryzen 3000. I'm pretty sure off the top of my head.
yeah,
But
no, even B350 was going to be even B350 was going to be really spotty, and they said that would be up to motherboard vendors.
Yeah.
But A320 the same way. I mean, A320 is just they're going to have such a stripped down power delivery setup there that it wouldn't be
A
advisable anyway. So who
A320
in
is
the
my
right
jam.
mind would do it?
A320 is my jam, dude. I'm probably one of the only tech reviewers out there where it's like A320 is my jam, dude. And this is the reason, right? This is the reason I tell people don't go with this upgrade argument. Stop it. Just go with what's good for now for the best money. Save that money because the future's uncertain. And like, look, AMD have gone back. Basically, what I think what people are really angry about when it all boils down to it, right? This is what people are angry about, is the fact that AMD is saying that no, we're not going to have future support for Ryzen 4000 on these chipsets, even though we know it technically can work. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They know like if you had the right microcode update and you had the right BIOS, a B450 is going to support the new Ryzen 4000 chips. I think that's what people
Well,
are angry about.
at the expense of past support. I mean, I watched Paul's Hardware had a really good video up about what B550 can do and can't do, and why they can't just continuously add microcode updates for support for newer processors. Because if you do that, right, you have a fixed amount of space on a little BIOS chip, a little BIOS ROM,
But I
and if
think
you run out of space, you have to nerf older support, and then that can confuse potential buyers, saying, okay, well, does this board actually support the old processors now that you've got a new microcode update that supports the new chips, or doesn't it? Then you have to change your product pages, you have to change your product boxes. It's kind of a nightmare, to be honest.
it's not. I mean, not
And
really. Not if you slice the updates. Like I know Gigabyte. Like if you slice the updates, they're already doing that on some boards. They already slice the updates where you'll
what do you
lose
mean slice?
support. Well, you lose support after you update to this BIOS. You'll lose support.
Right. But
So
that's the thing. Like the consumer knows that after it's already purchased. But
mm,
if you're gonna sell a B450 board that has Zen 3 support
yeah,
now that didn't used to have it, so you're gonna change the box to say, hey, now it supports Zen 3. Oh, but because now we're supporting Zen 2, we're gonna nerf Raven Ridge support or Bristol Ridge support,
well, yeah,
right?
too bad,
But I
kid.
might
Yeah, too bad,
yeah,
kid.
yeah,
Well,
but what I'm saying is that will affect people who would otherwise be buying it for the Bristol Ridge chip. You can't please both audiences. Like you can give them the basics and then say, "Hey, there's this optional BIOS update that'll give you support for Zen 2 or Zen whatever 4000, but we're not going to officially support it out of the box for the sake of everyone else on the older chips." Right?
yeah, but I
So
mean, the thing with that is, I think even on Reddit, I was reading up on some deep dives, and apparently the 16 megabyte chips will still support it and then some. Like, there's actually not really room running out on a lot of these BIOS chipsets.
I have updated some BIOSes though and lost support for like they'll explicitly say like if you update this BIOS you will lose support for and
Yeah,
usually it
yeah,
doesn't matter, it's some but I
yeah.
think they're running. I mean, it's clear that they have to make space, like they have to get rid of some stuff, but it's just not as cut and dry I think as we would like it to be, because there are so many different lineups from AMD that they're trying to cram into the socket, which I think is a good thing, but a byproduct of that is product confusion on the motherboard side, especially for the motherboard vendors, because then you have to be strategic about how you advertise certain boards for certain audiences, right?
Well,
Are
okay,
B450 users going to
so
be pairing Zen 4000 with them? You have to
okay,
think
so
about all that.
so basically, then it comes down to another question. Then I'll throw the curveball. Right, we're getting straight into it. Here you go.
Oh, let's go.
There it is, coming at you. So you're telling me then that they didn't have the foresight to say that, hey, we'd have 4 series of motherboards and they're not going to fit on this chip. So
Oh, I
back
agree
when
with that.
yeah, so
I
back when they
totally agree.
first
I think
made
that's
Ryzen, they gave the foresight. They were the ones saying it's going to come out in 2000. It's going to be supported until 2020. It's going to be supported for so many generations. And then they took a stab at Intel, saying Intel, you have to upgrade all the time. And I mean, look, they've been better. They've been a lot better than Intel. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, it still comes down to them not having the foresight to say, okay, this is going to be a potential problem. How do we get around it when they first designed their motherboards? So either way, the buck falls on AMD. And
Yeah,
I think,
I actually agree with. I think that the something went wrong with, or maybe there was some technical limitation with the size of the ROM itself. Like I'm sure they've thought of this. I mean, they pay people millions of dollars in bulk to think about all of these things, especially when you make such a claim like that.
yeah,
How do you not? I mean,
you
how
ready?
it's got to be some kind of technical limitation. I haven't done
Are
enough
you
research
ready? You
into it,
ready
but
for the next one?
all right, give it to me, give
Yeah,
it to me.
all
Let's
right.
see.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? You've got these motherboards coming out. Now, I know for a fact motherboard manufacturers were having big problems backdating compatibility. So I would say in ways motherboard manufacturers want this too. It's not just AMD, and a little bit in defense of
Because it
AMD.
encourages new
Yeah,
sales, right?
but
Of
it's
the
not
new, yeah,
just,
of
but
course. Yeah.
all the coding involved too. That's why, like, why do you think we're getting sent so many Z490 motherboards? The board partners love Intel. They don't have to. They just have to release one set of code for one set of CPU lines. Done and dusted. Compatibility's easy. The BIOS team gets to go home early. They get to cut wages. Rada rada rada. So that is a big argument, right? You know, you got an A320 board that can support a Ryzen 4000. You've had to go through 4 lines of code now, and that's a lot of BIOS programming. Like, let's be honest. As opposed to, hey, Intel, you just got one set, one line of motherboard, one set of code. So you can see how it's all. And at the end of the day, I've been saying this for years on my channel. It's all about a dollar at the end of the day. I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you a
Oh, yeah.
question. Have you ever met, like, you've met some people in your life that you don't like, right? Let's be honest.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, have you ever met a dollar that you didn't like?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. Every dollar I make is a good dollar.
That's
Unless
it.
unless
Yeah.
it's like a dirty dollar, it comes from something dirty. But at the end of the day, money's money. Yeah.
Yeah, so what do you think? These
Yeah.
guys over at
Oh
AMD,
yeah, man.
AMD's board, man.
Every company is
Yeah,
greedy, man. My company's greedy. Everyone out there, they're
every
in there to make a quick buck.
every
Yeah.
company wants to make a dollar. Let's not
Yeah.
forget that. AMD's no exception. So when you buy these products, don't give them over your, like, don't give them blind loyalty. Blind loyalty. Sure, you can give them loyalty. They've been good. If they've been performing over the
Yep.
years, very good. Like when it comes to Adobe Premiere Pro and Nvidia, there is a bit of loyalty there from me. They've been working for
Mm.
years on end, and they haven't missed a beat. They've been pretty good. I've been happy with it. So I haven't bothered changing to AMD on my main editing rig, because what's the point? What's the reason? I'm happy with the workflow. And there you go, hit me.
Oh, he's swinging that curveball back
Yeah,
at you.
hit.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, love it. Yeah.
So,
Uh,
so it, I think it's interesting and important to note that AMD this is probably the first time when either I should say CPU manufacturer has pledged this long a platform support for such a wide range of SKUs, right?
yeah.
I mean, when's the last time you can think of one motherboard supporting 3 different generations of CPUs? I can't. There might be one that comes close, but off the top of my head, I can't think of any. So can
H110
we
with a
really?
hack. H110 with a
Okay,
hack.
okay, okay. Yeah, I was thinking Z170. I was thinking the Caswell. I wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
with a hack.
Okay, but can you really blame AMD for going as far as they did? I mean, I know we're kind of spoiled now by it, but at the end of the day, the fact that we were able to still milk 3 generations out of a single socket, let alone chipset, you could put Zen 2 on B350 and have no problems. Like, to me, that's good enough. The fact that they're saying, okay, we've milked this as much as we could at this point. You buy a Z, 4000 series, then you just,
But here's the thing. This is the thing, right? My track record says that I don't care, and I don't. That's why I've been telling people to go buy an A320 and a Ryzen 5 3600. Call it a day. Who cares about your upgrade path?
Well, a lot of those
That's
too, those are really power efficient chips. What 65
yeah,
watt TDP chips? Like
yeah,
you could run those on A320 no problem. Like that's 65 watts is nothing. I mean,
yeah.
compared to what some older chips that were really overclocking happy, even go back as far as Vishera, you could overclock a 9590, it'll consume over 200 watts of power. Like that thing is a power hog for a consumer grade chip. But now we have such power efficient chips that are as strong, if not stronger than those, just entire packages.
Hmm.
It's just, yeah, the viability of cheaper chipsets is becoming
Well,
more
see, this is
viable
the
because of
thing.
that.
Another reason I recommend A320. Have a guess. You
Hmm.
can have a guess. You're handing over the
Uh,
littlest amount of money to AMD as possible. Same with
yeah,
Intel, H410. Those chipset licenses are cheaper than
yeah.
B460, Z390. I said Z. Oh, you guys are having in the comment section have an influence on me. I should have said Z490. What do you reckon? Z490, Z490. What's- but
Z.
no, so like anyway, but the bottom line is, right?
Australians say Z, right? Aussie
We
say
do,
Z,
we
yeah.
do officially. I don't know why I say Z. It's some man. My brain's all messed up, maybe. So anyway, we got back to the blind loyalty, right? Don't be blind. I've been saying for years, stop giving companies blind loyalty. Now, right? Let's just go back to another question for you. What do you think my next graphics card's going to be in my main editing rig?
3080,
Yeah,
whatever that
yeah, it'll
equipment.
be an NVIDIA card. But that being said, if NVIDIA screw up and my computer starts crashing in Premiere Pro, it starts doing all sorts of funny buggers, and then I'm out there reading about, or I'm testing the new AMD cards in Premiere Pro and they're working fine, guess what I'm going to do?
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna switching
Yeah,
over.
I'm going to switch it over. I do not care. I do not care. I got to get my
Yeah,
work done. I got to get my work done as consistently and as best as possible. So that's what I was
yeah.
saying with these. They're all like, look, we'll go back down the same road as well. We'll go back down the same rabbit hole. We've got SSGA. We've got that State Street Global Asset Management Fund. We've got Vanguard. We've got the other guy out there. All these index funds, they're all the same company. They all own the same chunks of Intel, AMD, and even Nvidia. In other words, you've got the same board members telling these three companies what to do. So
Hmm.
I mean, it's just like you go on these. People are angry. People, it's like you're all just being played for sheep. Like this is what it is. You're all just being played for sheep and herding around when it's all just like casual decisions at these places that are like, yeah, we got to make money, bang.
Yeah,
And like
yeah,
the
and
and
like
you know the employees can't say anything. They'll just
yeah,
it's just like that's like doing a certain
yep.
thing and I'll get
Your
demonetized.
axe.
Yeah,
Yep,
exactly.
yep,
So no one can talk out about it deep internally.
yep.
So
But
I can put the pieces
yeah,
together.
a company can't a company can't survive selling one product and then not selling it again for years. Like
Yeah,
they have to keep selling more and more of a product, and you have to innovate. Being innovative is one of the things that drives right sales,
yeah.
because you have something that's bigger and better. So, oh, I got to have that now. Motherboard's a little different though, because there are plenty of people who are still rocking B350 boards and they're on Zen 2 chips, and they're like, I haven't seen a need to upgrade,
Yeah.
because motherboards are kind of in the background. They kind of, you expect them to work. They do the things that they say they can do on paper, and that's good. That's all I care about.
Well, I feel really
It's
sorry.
motherboards are a little different.
I feel really sorry for the guys that spent the real high end money on like the X370, X470 boards. They bought those with the intention of them lasting as long as AM4s used till the end of DDR4. They bought that with the intention of being like, yeah, I can upgrade my 1800X to a 4900X, and they
To
can't.
that effect, I have no doubt. I would be seriously surprised if there aren't released at least unofficial BIOSes that support Zen 4000. I would be shocked. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, and I covered this at Computex because I was
Yeah.
drilling them hard in
Mm.
our meeting with AMD about sockets, or about chipset support, because that was what we were promised in 2018, and they kept reiterating the fact that they're not officially supporting B350 for Zen 2.
Yeah.
But what happened, right?
We got it. Yeah.
Almost every motherboard vendor rolled out and published BIOSes to support Zen 2.
Mm.
And I really think we're going to see similar things coming from at least a few of the vendors. ASRock always does something kind of on the DL. They'll
Yeah.
push one out here or there, and maybe Asus or MSI too. Like, I have no doubt at least one or two of them will do it.
I reckon they all will. Someone will do it first for the
Yeah.
advertising, and then the other guys will
Yeah.
be like, hey, we better
Yeah.
we better jump on that, man.
Yeah.
Holy, we gotta
Yeah.
get on
That's
that.
it.
So
The competition.
yeah, it'll
Yeah.
be. I mean, I better see like the B450 Tomahawk, for example. You'd expect that to get the BIOS because so many of those boards were sold, right? So you'd
Yeah.
expect to get that. Steel Legend as well. The B450 Steel Legend. That's a top selling board too. There's some good B450s out there that should get this support. I mean, should, right? So at the end of the day, it's like I think it comes back down to like, I mean, I know people are angry out there, but it's like for me, it's just as expected. Like I'm not surprised. Like, are you surprised?
No, like
Hmm.
I said, we've been dealing with way worse for the past decade, and
Yeah,
the fact that we were able to milk 3 generations out of a socket to this point,
yeah.
good
And
enough for me.
well, so here's the thing. I did my 10th gen announcement video, and I was getting called an Intel fanboy in that, and I'm like, what? Like, I'm excited for the i3 and the i5 because I feel
Yeah,
like
no, they do look good on
yeah,
paper. They do.
right.
Oh
That's what I
yeah,
mean.
it
And
just
so
comes down to price. It comes down to price.
Yeah, let's see what
At the end of the
H410 motherboards come out. Let's see what H410 motherboards come out. Let's see what some magic we can pull with that is. And
yeah.
then let's go to the gaming
And
benchmarks.
you know what the fanboys are gonna say, right?
What?
You know, I can already tell.
What are
The
they?
AMD fanboys are gonna say, "Oh, but you can't overclock a Core i3 10100, and
Let's pull it up.
you gotta buy a
It's gonna.
Z470 mother or Z490 because you know they're not gonna release the H series motherboards at the same time they release the Z ones.
Nah,
That's just not gonna
I
happen.
hope
You
they
know,
do. I hope they come out as soon as
I
possible. H410, like on
doubt
the
it.
D-Lo. Now, here's the thing, right? I think this will go up to
Same with
4.1 or
B550.
4 cores, 8 threads at 4.1 gigahertz all cores. It should be good. Like it's going to be
No,
good,
it should be fine.
you know,
Yeah, I don't think the yeah.
and it will
Yeah.
compete with the I don't know, the 3300X was impressive. I liked it. I did. I liked it
Yeah.
better. It's the first time I've liked an X CPU over the non-X CPU. To be fair, like the first time. Like say for
Yeah,
instance, we got a
I
3600X versus a 3600. I like the
right, yeah,
3600.
that was totally different. It's like, yeah, why would you buy the X? I didn't see as big. I saw other people found bigger differences than I did. I think it was just the hardware configurations. I didn't see a big difference between.
Ah,
Granted, I couldn't overclock and the board I was using. I think it was just a I don't know. It just wasn't letting me overclock past 4.2. But I
okay.
couldn't even clock for clock. Some were saying that because the 3300X is using a single CCX versus the split
Yeah.
the split CCDs like that would help performance as well. I didn't see that. Granted, if I was throwing a 2080 Ti $1,200 graphics card in the mix, I'm sure we'd see some difference because at that point you're squeezing the CPUs for all they can push out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you just got to go in there and quickly disable. One thing I didn't show on my videos is just disable all the limits and stuff and just upload all the
Yeah.
maximums, and then you got no restrictions. But mine hit a brick wall after 5 on both the chips too. Now, the chances of that happening, I would say, are 10%, right? If I get 2 chips in at any time, it'd be around about 10% of them hitting the same frequency.
Yeah.
It's just like I thought about it. I was like, it's probably like the 2 pairs of socks argument, right? If you pull out one sock out of a drawer, what's the chances of getting the same pair?
Yeah.
It's a simple.
Do
It's
you,
actually it's very simple when you think about it. It's very simple in nature. The question is
do
very
you
simple. It's a
do
one.
you think
Let me give
oh,
you
do
the
you want
answer.
me to answer this?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
So
God.
if you okay, so you've got 2 pairs of socks in a drawer, right? You just blindly pull out one sock. What's the chances of pulling out the pair?
Pulling out one sock? You can't pull
Yeah,
out a
so you
pair
know
if it's
you
one.
initially pull out one sock. What's the chances of you
Okay, yeah.
pulling out another sock and getting a pair, getting the same matching pair? So there's 2 different
The
pairs in
one
there.
in uh the one
See?
in three, yeah?
Yeah, one and
One
three.
in
There you go.
three?
So it's simple, right? When
I'm
you
gonna try to
yeah,
make sure it's not
yeah,
like a
yeah,
crazy
yeah.
guess.
So when you think about it, it's simple, right? It's the same thing. I got this one CPU. It's 5.75 gigahertz, and then you're going to have that range, right? It's probably 1 in 8
Yep.
actually, because it's going to be from 4.5 to 4.7 or whatever, 4.4 to 4.6. So it falls in that range of I'd say around 10% of being the same. And it was. I was surprised. I was like, wow, okay. They both just would not like the 3100 almost made it through at 4.6. Almost. It was the closest. The 3300X didn't hit me.
All right, here you go.
Yeah.
If AMD, I'm not sure to what extent they're doing this, although I'm sure it happens with most companies. If AMD is more or less cherry picking which samples go to reviewers and then the rest of them go to the regular, whatever. If we're getting cherry pick samples, even if they're slight cherry picks, do you think AMD would want the 3100 to look noticeably worse than the 3300X, or would they just be like,
Well,
the best of both?
they've already done that with the out of the box settings. So like
Right, right, but if both can clock about the same, you're still going to
I
reduce
don't
those
like.
margins.
I honestly think they've kind of given up on that cherry picking, except when the 3900. And the thing is, they are cherry picked. Like, you look at the
Expensive.
3900X and 3950X, they actually are cherry picked in
Oh
retail
yeah.
centers.
Well,
So,
technically they all are. I mean, even the ones we're sent, we didn't get retail boxes with ours.
oh
Like
man, I didn't get a
they're
cooler.
hand picking them.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I didn't get a cooler either. I just got little plastic bins. So
Mm.
I know they're picking them. They're picking them, but I don't know how they're picking them. And if they're saying, hey, well, this channel's bigger, so let's send them the even better chip, they're gonna get more viewership. Who knows? Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, they can do whatever the heck they want. But
Yeah.
it's I just wonder what really is going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'd like to know too. I mean, I don't like. I don't think they cared too much with this launch, as opposed to say 3900X, 3950X, or whatever. They would have cared a lot more then. This is just a budget 4-core. They know it's going to get good reviews because it's a good price point. Overclocking really at this point, like I've said in yesterday's video, I said overclocking's kind of pointless at this level because the included cooler is good value with a cheap motherboard. That's where you're really maximizing value. It's only really for the guy who can go out and get a cheap X370, update the BIOS, and then he's already got a water cooler lying around or something. And so,
Yeah.
I don't, and even then you need expensive memory. Like I'm testing with 3600 megahertz memory, right? It's not like the cheapest
Yeah.
stuff around. So
I will say the 3100 was surprisingly cool, like temperature wise.
out of the box,
In my
yeah, it's
test,
3.9
yeah,
gigahertz,
it
man.
was like it was barely even overclocked to 4.2 all core, which wasn't again as high as some of the others were getting, but even at 4.2 all core, which was still over spec,
Yeah.
it was only pushing 60C after maybe 10-15 minutes in Prime 95. Like that's with a Hyper 212. Like this isn't a beefy Noctua NHD15. Like it's a $30 air cooler.
So what do you? I was going to do a video. I was thinking as soon because I saw the power consumption on 3100 out of the box, it was impressive. But I'm thinking about downclocking and undervolting because the 3300X is more power efficient clock for clock. That's at least in the ones I got here, the testing. So I was thinking about downclocking it to maybe 2.8 gigahertz and just gaming with no CPU cooler. What a cool video that would be. Like using up trying to get it down to 10 watts or something, and then be like, yo, I didn't even need a CPU cooler,
Or
boss.
just I did something similar with an air cooler that didn't use a fan. So it was like just a big passive cooler, just a big heatsink.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't try running it without.
I'm gonna give it a go. Are gonna be fun.
I don't think, dude. Last time I've tried underclocking as far as 2 gigahertz before. The BIOS will only let you go down to 2.8 or 2.6. Like there's a limit. It won't let you go. The multiplier won't drop below 25, I think, in most boards. So they chop it there on purpose because they know that below that frequency, there's just no utility at all on those chips. They're just not meant to run that low.
Okay.
Even the ultra cheap, like for Intel, the T variant CPUs are going to be above that limit because that's the only place in which they're viable.
Yeah. So yeah.
Look at Brian's face. You're like
I'm gonna try it.
Right
I'm gonna try it, man. I'm gonna try it anyways. This is gonna be a cool. Imagine just building a PC and you have no coolers on there, and people be like, "What triggered?" And then they're like, "Hey, watch it game." 50,
hey,
50
Connectron
watts.
build says stick a 40 millimeter fan on top. Do it with the smallest fan you can, like one of those little PCH fans.
Yeah.
Just to get something.
Okay,
Yeah.
give it a chance, right? Give it a chance. What about some of those $1 little heat sinks? You buy 10 for $1 and you put them on your VRAM and stuff. Just put 4 of them on there, little fan.
Get one of those, those little fans that have little water sprayers when you're in the theme parks and stuff. Just hold one of those up next to it and just kind of do it yourself.
Yeah. So, so at the end of the day, I mean, it is what it is. I'm pretty I sit here about I guess the word for me is indifferent about it all. It is what it is with AMD and. They're a company, they got to make money at the end of the day, so don't be surprised. I mean, this is the thing, right? The last thing I'm going to say on this issue, this is the thing, right? Who do they employ at their marketing, man? It's the same thing. It's like time and time again. Some of the, NVIDIA's marketing is impressive. I'm going to give NVIDIA that. They know how to market. AMD and Intel, it just seems like the marketing divisions are dropping the ball. And, if they watch the live stream we're putting out, I can give them some feedback. Here's how I would have done it, right? Let's just replay the scenario, right? I would have just dropped Ryzen 4000. All the reviews are out there. Oh, IPC increase. Overclock's better than Ryzen 3000. Then you just put out that little subtle, oh yeah, by the way, it doesn't work on B450 and A320. And see all the news is out there, Ryzen 4000. People just ignore that.
You mean mix it in?
Yeah, they should have. They'd worked it the wrong way. They're like, all right, we're just making an announcement, guys. B550. And it's not going to support up. So they made it a focus rather than just doing the little,
Or they could have just. I mean, I know B550 technically you want to release at the same time while the Zen 2 chips are relevant because that coincides with X570. But they could have just outright delayed B550 even more and then waited till.
They could have just not mentioned. They could have just not mentioned the fact. They could have just said it's going to support. But why did they have to go back and say, "Oh, your other boards aren't going to support a CPU that's not even released for a few months"? Who does their marketing, man? You want to technically from an investor standpoint, you want to delay bad news as long as possible. You want to just delay it. That is natural. So
I
like,
wonder how much. I really wonder who had more tug in the relationship between the motherboard vendors and AMD.
yeah,
I really wonder if the motherboard vendors that
all right,
basically stepped in and said, "Look, this needs to be like we need a clean cut division between what we can support now and what we can support in the future
hmm,
because we can't keep up with all of this dicey BIOS update garbage that keeps changing our product SKUs and changing our advertising and our
hmm.
descriptions and everything like." I really wonder if they had more of a say so than we're letting on because
But this is the thing. I don't know. Like, right, I'm gonna give you another like lowest denominator example. Right, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Right, there, of course. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know what goes on in AMD, but let's just go back to the dump example. Right, the dump example. This is what I'm gonna call it. Yeah. So you're out mowing the lawn. Right, you're out mowing the lawn. You can feel kind of things moving. And Lisa's like, honey, and you're like, do you tell her like, hey, Lisa, I'm gonna go take a dump in half an hour? No, you wait until the last moment, right? Or you just go do your thing, and then you come back and you're like, oh, I had to take a dump. That's it's bad news. So you just is rising
Wait,
4,000.
so you mean it's not
Yeah.
normal to have an alarm to tell you when to take a dump?
No, no, no.
I
Like
thought
if
that
you,
was
but if you got to take
uh,
a break and you got to tell someone some bad, like, hey, I got to take. It's not really good news, is it? So it's kind of bad news. So it's the same. Like
you just do
we
it,
need,
and it's
yeah,
like asking forgiveness
yeah.
instead of permission.
So it's
You're just saying that they need
AMD.
to just do it and then
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
"Yeah, look, sorry, we know we had some good news
yeah.
and this just kind of got lost in translation,
So
essentially."
that's
I mean,
exactly right. If anything that comes out
I
of this
I'm
feedback,
I'm sure there are fans of AMD though who are going to say, "Well, I think it's good of AMD to be upcoming and or up front and forthright about the whole thing, so there's no confusion at product launch." Like I'm sure if Intel did that, the same folks would be saying, "Oh, them those jerks," But that's just how it is. Some people are going to be that way, but
yeah. But
you can
I've
never please everybody,
but I've
no
I've
matter what.
but I've never met someone that's informed me that they've got to take a dump in X amount of an hour later or half an hour. It's just always it's on the spot or it's after the fact, right? So it's like that's I mean the marketing team could utilize some of those basic human needs and realize, hey, this is how it's going to play out. So in other words, I'd say out of this whole B550 thing, the biggest mistake made was the marketing department.
How do they get around us though?
Well, that's
And
what
this isn't to sound, I'm not trying to sound cocky here, but if you don't say anything,
yeah.
we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna be the ones
Not
trying the random CPUs, trying the BIOS updates, and then we're gonna realize, hey, you don't actually support this, but you didn't say anything about it. And then that's gonna make AMD look a lot worse,
nah, nah, nah,
because it has
nah,
to go through us. They're
nah.
not just
Because
gonna launch a product and not send it to reviewers beforehand. I mean, they could. I'm not sure how that would work. It might be interesting to see how that all plays out, but
yeah, but
traditionally they've always
because
done
you've got a whole new release of CPUs, that's going to overshadow the bad news, right?
but it would still come out and it would be made to be possibly a bigger deal than it actually is because
It's
it's
been mood. It's been
not.
made a huge deal right now. Like
Oh
it's
yeah, oh
people are
yeah,
getting
but I
roiled
bet you
up.
it'd be
Like,
worse. I bet you it'd be worse if it looked like AMD tried to brush it under the rug.
well,
It's
no, what?
damage
Okay,
control,
so
man. They're just
well, then what you do is you just let's say for instance the Tomahawk. Yeah, give one or two motherboards support for it, and then be like, yeah, it's kind of gonna come out.
and that's what I'm saying. I think it'll
It's
happen. But okay,
And
to
yeah,
use a
there's another.
really
Oh, you just gave
weird,
me an idea. They should have just passed the buck onto the board partners like Intel does.
I'll u-
Yeah, the board it's up to the
I,
board partners.
I'll use a really weird. This is totally a Brian analogy here.
Yeah,
All right, let's say you're about to start filming,
yeah,
okay, but you
got it.
got this really big zit right here,
Yeah,
okay. It's so obvious,
I always get
right?
them on the nose,
People are
dude.
gonna
Yeah, yeah,
like a Pinocchio.
yeah,
It's gonna be called out in the comments. People can't help it. They're gonna
yeah,
say something.
yeah.
The first thing you do when you start filming is you bring attention to it. You just want to get it out there and get it over with up front. Because if you don't and you don't address it up front, it will be the talking point in the comment section. That is literally the Internet 101. I read that that was the first paragraph of Internet 101 textbook. It's You have to address it because if you don't and you let it kind of fester, it will explode once some reputable
Yeah,
source
I know, but
pinpoints
but you
it's a big
always,
deal.
but in experience, you always milk it in with with some other big news. Like you always mix it in with something. That way, it's just like, oh yeah, like the whatever it was, the NASA thing with they released it right as soon as we were talking about CV. So it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we've seen some UFOs, And it's like, yeah. So, like that's the kind of thing.
I think they're trying to squeak it out. I think
Yeah.
they're just like,
So
all
that's,
right,
they
well,
needed,
eventually people are going to
yeah,
find out, so let's just
yeah.
do little bits
They
and
needed,
pieces at a
yeah.
time.
They needed to do a squeak job. That's exactly right. They did, like, I think they just went about it the wrong way. They just did, the marketing department really screwed up here, guys. That's just,
I love
anyway, yeah, they needed just to do little squeaks, little hints here and there, and then
it.
just
Yeah.
sort of, and put
Who
yeah
knows, man?
instead
Hey,
yeah.
that's why the guys in the marketing departments get paid more than we do for that very reason. They're paid big bucks to think about all these things, go through all the different scenarios up front, so that
Are
you know.
they? Are they? Next on Tech
I
Something, we're going to have an
guarantee.
interview
I,
with an anonymous marketing rep, and we're going to find out the conditions that go
we're
on
gonna
at
have a
Intel
black
and AMD.
silhouette. We're gonna dub the
Yeah,
voice like ultra deep voice so they can't
and we're going
be
to have
discerned.
X Files music.
Yeah.
And anyway, so that's that news. Let's go to chat. We're just going to talk with you guys for hang out a little bit. I mean, I guess that was the only real juicy bit of news that I've been seeing coming up lately. Again, we talked last time about the laptops. I don't really care too much about laptops. But yeah, the B550 thing is interesting. Honestly, it's taken them way too long to get B550 out anyway. I just think they shouldn't even release it at this stage. It's like, I mean, let's look at it, right? We lost A420. There was no A420. So we had 3 chipsets, then 2 chipsets, then 1 chipset. Why not? You're following just a symmetric, like it's perfect patternization, right? Like, yeah, 3, then to 2,
Yeah,
then
that's
to
the
1,
thing. Why
and
don't
just then don't even
why
release a
yeah.
motherboard. Like next
Why
series,
don't why don't AMD and Intel just collude or well, you could have AMD and Intel motherboard vendors collude to only release one chipset and just say here's a blanket chipset. It's going to do everything that we can physically make it capable of doing, and good luck.
what if
And
they
that's it.
just merged and then the prices of CPUs just went up through the roof? What would
They're
happen
like
then?
some mega conglomerate.
Yeah, yeah. And then you just had like these security updates that came up and nerfed your performance 50% on your old CPUs.
That is what we have the FTC for, to prevent stuff
Yeah,
like that from happening.
I know.
I don't know about other parts of the world though. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I don't know anyway. But it's food for thought. It's interesting anyway. The whole thing, like at the end of the day, guys, we're going to restate it one more time. Don't throw blind loyalty to any company. Never do, because
Yeah.
then
Yep.
especially when they're a publicly listed corporation, their main goal is to make a dollar, whether it's in the short run
Maximize
or the long run.
value for their
Yeah.
shareholders.
In the
Yep.
long term or the
That's it.
short term, it doesn't matter. Their goal is to either make a quick buck or a long term buck. So, and AMD has been forced to do it's classical marketing 101 strategy. Classical. It's the textbook. They've got low market share when Zen was first released. They've got to penetrate the market. Now that they've penetrated the market, they've got to up prices and make more money. That's how it
Mm-hmm.
works. So simple as that. So don't if Ryzen 4000 comes out and the CPUs are more expensive than you otherwise would have expected, don't be surprised. That's all I'm gonna say.
Especially if the yields are a lot worse than they're expecting. TSMC's been doing them right by the past 2 or 3 gens, but especially if the yields are not great. I mean, look at,
Are they
that could be a potential issue up front. And if they have problems with chipset manufacturing, maybe they have to push like what Intel's had to do. They've had to basically fab the chipsets and the CPUs in the same warehouse, literally on the same node. That could also restrict inventory levels, and that could raise prices as well. I mean, there are a number of things that AMD could run into that Intel is currently dealing with that could raise prices.
okay? So at the end
I'll
of the
take it.
day, yeah, take it as it is, guys. Don't worry. We're gonna go over to chat now. Let's answer these. Is there any questions that you had to answer? But is there any questions that came up that you would have loved to have answered during live stream? I wasn't paying too much
No.
attention. I was doing the stream for you guys.
I
But ask
wasn't.
away.
I was looking occasionally. Yeah, there was just a lot of talk back and forth. It's all for the
Okay.
most
Oh,
part
they're
been
entertaining themselves. Fantastic. So,
yeah, no, but it's been relevant to the topics we're discussing. Like, it's kind of
okay.
cool to see them kind of transition at the same time we are.
Okay, so upgrade Vega 64 Nitro to 5700 XT. Good idea. There's not much there. Like, there's not a huge. I'd hold out for a bigger upgrade personally.
Unless he's that concerned about power delivery.
Yeah, unless something
Temps.
smells. Yeah, if you got a smell
Yep.
there, definitely think about it. Zen 3, 4.6 gigahertz base clock. This is the thing. Are they reusing the same 7 nanometer? If they are, you could see higher clocks, definitely, because it's going to be a more matured node. We're going to know that. We got why no ad blocker? I don't believe in it, man. I just don't do ad blocker because that's a site. They got to make money, man, and I make money off ads. It's just for me. I don't believe in ad blocker. I never have. It's a person. The whole history. You go back through my channel. Sometimes I'll close down an ad. Like I'll actually manually close it down if it's that annoying. But if they're just subtle ads that are sitting there, yeah, they can take it. They're all
I
good.
use it when I'm like screen recording and stuff. Like I don't want all that crap in the screen cap when I'm
Yeah.
showing articles and everything. To me, that's like it's different in a live stream because you can't really post edit anything. But
Yeah.
for presentation purposes, I use it.
Yeah. What is your guys' opinion on X58 in 2020? Oh, you already know the answer to this. I absolutely love you. Keep going strong. You're representing. This is the thing. I got asked about X79 1680 V2. If I was just gaming, that would still be my main gaming rig, right? That would still be my main gaming rig, X79. But I need the 18 cores. I do really need it. So that's my thing. I'm doing these 4K. Man, my 4K edits are getting a lot quicker now. Like I'm pretty much at peak in terms of how quick I can get an edit done now. So
Oh, you know what I heard? I heard from another tech YouTuber that one of the betas, one of the Premiere Pro beta updates that you can get right now, leverages the graphics card like heavily.
yeah.
And it's doing 10-minute 4K renders in like a minute 30.
What codec
Because
is? What
uh,
program?
I think it's CUDA, but it's Premiere Pro.
Oh wow.
Like it's a
Ooh.
Premiere Pro beta update, so they've actually done a good job apparently of utilizing a discrete graphics card, which they haven't been able to do
I
for
saw
since day
that. I
one.
saw that back in last year. They were having that. Was it the scrubbing? You were scrubbing 8K footage, and it was just so smooth. I was like, wow. So yeah,
The IGP was something that was QuickSync. QuickSync really was a kick in the right direction,
yeah,
but now that they're implementing proper discrete card use,
yep.
it's like magical, dude. It's yeah, it's really good.
Oh, it's magic. Oh,
So
yeah. What's that from? You
it's
remember
night and
that?
day,
Yeah.
apparently.
Okay, so we got asked as well. Should I upgrade my 9100F to a Ryzen 2600? I mean, the question is, like I've said this in the past, if you've got to ask if you need to upgrade a CPU, you don't. You should know if you need to upgrade a CPU. So you sounds like you're fine on your 9100F, man. I'd leave it. Is overclocking finished? I didn't see the full question. Gabriel asks is basically, is overclocking in the future? Overclocking die in the future? No. Yeah, overclocking's coming to an abrupt end. Like you look at the trends, right? These CPU manufacturers are squeezing every bit of performance they can out of the box, and they're doing it to remain competitive too. So all your overclocking headroom is now getting binned essentially, where your 10900K is going to have the best cores on it, and then that's going to flow through. Where obviously your 10100 is going to have the. That's why there's no 10100K, because those cores are probably that bad compared to the 10900K. So yeah, it's getting worse. Yeah, definitely. I think overclocking's hasn't seen as good as days as it would have. Okay, so what program
Someone
using
said
live stream on YouTube? I use OBS. I'm going to change to OBS Studio, like Greg recommended, where I can save my outlay.
Streamlabs.
Yeah, where I can
Yep.
save my outlay. We can just click one button and we're good to go. Because every time I boot up a stream, I got to triple check everything, and then something goes wrong, and I'm over it because it doesn't remember my settings.
Someone
Yeah.
said that 5 gigahertz all-core 9900K VRM is running at 101C on ASRock PG-ITX. Don't know that particular board, but
ITX.
uh,
Ah,
VRMs like people think they'll measure or they'll look at VRM temps and they'll say, "Oh my God, 100 degrees Celsius, like that's terrible." But you can't compare these temperatures to like CPU package temps. Like VRMs are actually designed to get sometimes that hot and hotter. So if you see 100 to 110, I'm not saying that's always safe, but you can't just translate that from like a CPU temp perspective and say, "Yeah, this is way too hot." So I don't know about the ITX board that you're talking about, but those kind of blanket statements about temperatures are usually not,
if that's 100 from software, from the direct sensor, it's fine.
especially
I think
software.
it's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. If
Yeah.
the heat sink's getting 100 degrees, ooh, then
Okay.
definitely
Yeah. That's
double
what,
check that. Get a fan on that thing ASAP. But yeah,
that'll
like
start a
if it's from the
fire.
software, yeah, if it's from the software, you should be fine. I wouldn't worry, sweat too much, especially if the ambients are pretty hot where you are right now. I've seen that. I mean, the Z390 ITX Phantom Gaming X, I think the one I've got, it's really good, man. I got it in my mini ITX. It hasn't missed a beat. I use it for editing on the road, 4K footage. I've got a 9900K in that thing, and I play games on it. It's like my little main gaming rig now because I got two 4K monitors here for editing. So yeah, I wouldn't sweat too much about that. So next question we've got. Ooh, let's go through these. How long can we expect B550? Oh, I would have no idea when we're going to see a B550 ITX motherboard. So, I mean, I would assume ASRock will be getting on that straight away. And same with Gigabyte. They're usually pretty quick to the punch. Is the AMD 7990 still worth it in 2020? No. Yeah, I wouldn't get one. I'd just get an RX 580 if you've got an RX 550. Yeah, because, like, yeah, dual GPU support is like, nah. I mean, it'd be cool for lols, but that's about it. Is 2400G at 3.9 gigahertz and a 2060 Super a bad bottleneck? Should I upgrade to a 3100 3300X? 2400G is not that impressive. I'd say yes in some games. It's definitely going to bottleneck that 2060 Super, man. That's just what I'm going to say that.
Yeah, remember that's original Zen architecture there. That's
yeah, but it's
Yeah.
weak as well. So it's
Well,
yeah.
that's what it was. Yeah, it's Zen. It's like
Mm.
Zen. It's hard to recommend 1600s and 2400 Gs in light of how cheap Zen Plus chips are.
Yeah.
And even Zen 2. I mean, even Zen 2 chips are pretty affordable if you're willing to spend a few extra bucks on them. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
I think a 3300X with decent memory as well is going to be a good upgrade. Yeah. Like that's actually viable. If you want a game and game hard right now, yeah, it's going to be a decent upgrade for you. Is Intel i5 8400 and RX 580 going to last a while? Because I don't think I need an upgrade for a while. Yeah, you're fine, man. Guys, only upgrade. Like this is the thing. Only upgrade when you need to. When you're playing your games and you're like, I can't stand this choppiness anymore. I hate this. That's when you'll need an upgrade. So there's the upgrade. I guess I gotta make a video on upgrading because it's like, I just think it's such a waste of money. You know how much wasted money in the world would be going on about people who buy stuff, like especially in tech, that they don't even utilize. Like, you know how many 12 cores 3900Xs would have sold, and the people really only need a 6 core. I'd say the majority of people who bought those 3900Xs wouldn't utilize those cores and threads.
I've been telling them, man.
Mm.
I've been telling them since day one. It's just not ideal for most people. It's just spending money just to spend it.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah,
You know?
you guys are propping up AMD's balance sheet. You're propping up Intel's balance sheet. That's why I like these budget, man. Because like, I build these gaming PCs all the time. I test these games all the time. Like 2060 Super, 2070 Super, and a 4-core 8-threaded CPUs is a good combo. 6 cores, 12 threads. If you want that little bit of extra, you know what I mean. If you want that little bit of extra, and you're like, look. But don't go, you don't need 8 cores, 16 threads unless you're going with a 2080 Ti, and you're probably going to know that. And even then, you don't need 12 cores, 24 threads with a 2080 Ti. Your 8 cores, 16 threads will be fine. So it's just, oh man, it's crazy amount of people just that spend extra money like that don't need to. So save your money, and then when stuff's better in the future, go put it in stonks, right? Go put it in stonks.
I always
Yeah.
say put it into a better graphics card because that's where you're going to see a real performance bump. Once you've passed about 6 cores, 12 threads, you're not really going to see a huge difference from 6 to 8. Most games you won't even utilize a full 12 threads, but
Yeah.
let alone 16. But once you pass 6 cores, you could pair a 3600 with a 2080 Ti, and I wouldn't judge you for it because
Okay.
to me that's saying, okay, I want to maximize my gaming performance, my in-game settings. I want the best looking, best quality game, and I might do some streaming on the side, but you know what? At the end of the day, I have a killer graphics card in there, and the only way I was able to afford that was by not overpaying for a CPU I don't actually need.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
I think so. This is actually a good question with the 1600 AF or 3300X with 3200 megahertz RAM with an RX 5700. Streaming and playing, what is the best? See, this is the thing. I'm going to actually test streaming because if you're using the GPU encoder, like I've said like on these live streams before, the CPU utilization is very little when you are streaming off your graphics card. Like when you're using that encoder built on, you're not using up a whole lot of power. So I'll give it a go. That'd be a good video actually to see how the AF fares against the 3300X when you're streaming on the both of them. Keep in mind, my 1600 AF here is like bottom of the barrel where I can only get the memory up to 3066 megahertz. That's with the 32 gigabyte kit. Maybe with the 16 gigabyte kit, I could go a bit higher. But yeah, it is what it is. It's 3300X. All the new 3rd gen Ryzen chips, their XMP profiles have locked in first time on 3600 megahertz, 3200 megahertz. It's just locked in like a breeze, and it's worked. Which means the IMC is a lot better than 2nd and 1st gen chips. So anyway, how much should I sell a 7600K with the Zeus Prime Z270A? if you should sell it right now because people are paying good money for it. It depends on USD. I mean, I'd try and get like $250 if you could for it. I mean, like in Australia, like you'd get 300 Aussie for that maybe if it was the right combo. So maybe about 200 US maybe. Okay. All right, let's close up some questions. Greg's got to get going soon. And 2700X viable in 4 years. Yeah, definitely. I mean, let's go back and 4 years ago, let's look at what's 5820K. Is that still viable today? 5820K is like still a really good gaming CPU if you know what you're doing with it. So yeah, 2700X is going to be viable in 4 years' time. That's my guess. And Joe's asking the same question again. And let's that's when you know people are just switching off your stream, when you get the same guy just asking the same question. He's
Just
like,
spamming it.
yo,
Yeah.
yo, man, yo, notify.
Control C,
Yeah,
Control V.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Notice me, call high. Notice me. Yeah, I was like, oh man. All right. So anyway, excuse me. What's the difference into Ryzen 1600, 1600 AF? Well, 1600 AF uses Zen Plus cores. 1600 uses Zen cores, and there's actually quite a big difference in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, I've seen Crysis. Okay, is there a question there? Nope. And currently have a R9 380 and an i3 6100. Wait for DDR5 and Ampere if you can, dude. If you can hold out. Yeah, so I'm talking
Why
about
is
this
that
upgrade.
question so popular? Why
Yeah,
is that? I just feel
just
like that's such a
hold.
prevalent question in tech. It's
That's it,
always like,
man.
should I buy or should I wait? Should I wait for X or should I
I'm
buy Y
telling him,
now?
but I'm telling him to hold out until he sees the chop.
I actually agree, though. I think this is
Like,
one of the few
yeah,
times where if you're comfortable enough right now,
yeah,
just wait. Like,
yeah,
why waste money
yeah.
now if you're gonna be uncomfortable again in 6 months when the new stuff is all hitting the shelves, you know?
That's it. That's it. All right, guys, we're gonna be closing up this stream. If I wanted to stream, what would the minimum CPU I should go for?
Six
Uh,
core, any relevant six core,
uh,
I would say.
I don't know,
You could
man.
stream a
Depends.
four. I mean, hell, you could
Depends what you
stream on
want.
a
Like,
Pentium.
Yeah, it depends what you want to stream. Like, if you're just streaming like chat, like we are now, even 4 cores, 4 threads can be absolutely
Oh
fine.
yeah, I
Even an
agree.
i3 would
Yeah,
probably be fine. But don't take my
yeah.
word for that. I haven't tested an i3, but
I think it would
um,
be just fine on stream. Doing
yeah,
this is not that.
yeah. Even
Gaming though, gaming and streaming is a little different.
But even if you're gaming and you're capping your FPS, say Fortnite, you're gaming capping FPS at 144 hertz, you could get away with a 2600K, I'm pretty sure.
Well, and if
Like,
you're using NVENC or something, you
yeah,
know, if you're
exactly.
doing encoding on the graphics card, freaking
Yeah,
A, you could do a i3, I think, still no problem. You'd be more bottlenecked on the gaming side by the CPU than you would by the streaming
yeah.
itself. So,
All right. And now we're going to close it off with accent time. People have been waiting for this, haven't
oh
they?
my God,
Yeah.
I'm so bad at this. This is so.
No, you're improving. You're improving. So you want me to go first?
No, I'm not. I think
Okay. All
All right,
right.
I'll go
So,
first.
do you
'Cause
want do you
I
want
don't,
the do you want to do Pit Vipers again?
oh my, I just know I want to go first because I want you to end on a much better note than I would ever end with my terrible
All
Aussie
right.
accent.
All right. We'll do it. We'll do it.
All right. I need a topic. I need a scenario.
Okay, so you're thinking about upgrading an NVMe SSD from a SATA SSD. This is the topic, right?
Okay.
And you can go with the oblivious route, or you can go with the expert route. You think you know what you're talking about, or you don't know anything about this, right?
Okay.
So
All
give
right.
it
I'm
to
gonna
me.
go with the
Yeah.
oblivious one.
All
Here we
right.
go.
Okay.
God, this is gonna. I apologize
Yeah.
sincerely, internet, for this cringe that you're about to witness. Jeez, I get so nervous. This is not gonna be an Aussie accent at all. So, guys, I was typing on my computer, my keyboard, and I realized I got a bit of lag, and it's like totally not Aussie at all. And I had IT professional come in, and he told me that I needed to upgrade from my SSD, which is about yay big, to an NVMe. He called it. It's about that big, and I said, "There's no way that's faster. It's a lot smaller. How do you go from a bigger drive that's slower to a faster drive that's smaller?" It just didn't make sense to me. And I told him to go out back and get jumped by a kangaroo, because I ain't having none of that nonsense in here. Okay, I'm done now.
Okay, all right. Let's go on. So, all right, guys. So I was at my place, right, and I was watching some of these tutorial videos, right, and they were like pulling off the back of the laptop, and I pulled mine off, and there was this thing there, like it sat on an SSD, and like my computer wouldn't boot up anymore. So I took this into Best Buy, right, and the guy at Best Buy's like, "Dude, that thing is smoked. You've got to get this." And he showed me like this 2 terabyte NVMe, and he's just like, dude, this thing's like $500. And I'm like, dude, that's like more than my whole laptop. And he's like, if you don't buy this, your computer's just not going to work anymore. And I was like, dude, let me just call my friend. So I call up my friend, and he's like, yo, dude, come over for a bud. And I just came over for a bud. I came over for a bud, and smoke some, good stuff. And now he's just like, yo, dude, you got to go back to Best Buy, dude, and just tell him you give him $450 for that 2 terabyte NVMe drive, and it's gonna make a whole world of difference. So I went back there, I said, look, dude, can we do a deal, $450 for the NVMe? He's like, yeah, dude, I'll give you the special coupon code. You whack it in. Took it home, man. Plugged it back in. Laptop didn't even work again, bro. Got hosed.
Oh my god. I see. I'm reading the chat while you're speaking. There was someone that said you had like that California, USA accent.
Yeah, man. I'm working on it. I'm working on it, eh? Yeah, people are loving this stuff. So yeah, that's it. So 420 bud. Yeah, man. All right, guys, we're gonna close off this stream. We hope you enjoyed, and Greg's gonna go back to get his pet viper.
My pet viper.
You know how? Yeah, you gotta add. So you know how to see that? You see how I add the little. Like you gotta add the little. Yeah. So give us the Aussie one of that. Give it some. Yeah. Give us the little expression after it. Come on. Like in Aussie, might like something. Give us some bit of a.
Good eye, mate.
Yeah, a bit of an add-on. Like I got the SSD, mate.
You follow me, mate. Yeah, I can always do that one, mate. So like I have that like tone in my head, so I can always refer back to that.
Okay, so yeah, I'll do the last one. So AMD are knocking off support for B550 on the Ryzen 4000. So did you hear the? There we go. All right, guys, we're closing down the stream. We're closing down the stream. I don't even know where my mind goes sometimes, man. All right, so. All right. All right, guys, we're gonna close off the stream. Love each and every one of you. Make sure you go check out my boy Greg Salazar, previously Science Studio. Previously, was it Greg Studio before that? Previously Science Studio before that.
I lost track of how many changes.
Salazar Studio, that was right. It was Salazar Studio once upon a time.
And before that again, it was Science Studio. Yeah, it was Science Studio twice.
So and then you can subscribe. Then after that, after you go subscribe to him, subscribe to Tech Yes City. And then before that, it was Tech City. Then before that, it was Tech Yes City. Then before that, it was Brian Easy.
Yeah. You kind of had a similar history. Not as bad as mine, but you've had a similar history.
3 changes. Yeah, 3 changes. You've had them quicker. So I reckon you're going to change your channel name again.
Yeah.
Quicker. So what's his next channel name, guys? Decide in the comments for us, and we'll catch you next time. Pit Viper Studio. Yeah. All right. We'll catch you next time, guys. Peace out for now. Do you want to take it away? Peace out. Do a peace out for now. Bye. Give him something.
Peace out for now. Boy.